How do you think social media has played positively and negatively in relationships today?
Positively is limited. I would say in terms of positive impacts, it's quite limited. The only thing I would say that's positive from social media is it gives people, if they use it correctly, it can give them a great income. They can get a really great, I mean, I'm sure you make a great job from using socials essentially. If you use it as work, it's unbelievable. It's a really great opportunity to make connections, to actually limit your excitement from the opposite sex because you'll get more and more of it and you get used to it. It's a great opportunity to really build connections and build a career. But you have to make sure that the career that you're building is one that is useful and helpful and people actually enjoy. But if you're selling yourself in any way, shape or form, whether that is your appearance, whether that is your marketing, like your cars and all of that, anything like that, what will happen is at some stage, you're going to really burn yourself out. And the other thing is it's going to feed into our natural narcissism. We all have an element of narcissism. All of us do. What social media has done is taken our narcissism and made it global and international. So the impact it's having, particularly more so on women than it does on men. On men, what it does is has the opposite effect of narcissism. It makes them weak towards women. Because they see so many beautiful girls, they get weaker and weaker and weaker. Their self-control gets weaker. Their ability to say no gets weaker. Their desires get higher. So men are becoming weaker because of social media and women are getting stronger. And the reason I say stronger, but really, I mean more narcissistic and powerful in the most negative ways, because what women can do is replace every man they've ever met now by posting a few pictures. What men can do, what they can't do that, but instead what they can do is fantasize about women that they never knew existed. So you're creating an imbalance. You're making women stronger and stronger and men weaker and weaker. And as a result, relationships break down when women are stronger than the men that they are with. So we've created a culture of weaker men and more powerful women, and as a result, the families and the foundation of a family cannot flourish.
And so how do you think we could kind of mitigate that, or how do you think two people can come together and not be affected by, the perhaps temptation of posting a promiscuous photo and getting likes and this and that?
One thing I would say is that women that post promiscuous attract men that like promiscuous. So it's not usually a case of a man who's totally innocent and dating a woman who's a total narcissist and posting online. Usually it's a man that likes the bikini pictures all day long and follows the bikini models who ends up with a girl like that. And then she'll be mad that he's still doing that and he's mad that she's still posting. They both have poor habits. They both have poor social media hygiene. I believe that the best way to kind of mitigate that is you can't beat the world at the moment. Even if you wanted to, you can't avoid the sexualization on social media. You can't stand up against it. You're not going to win. But what you and your partner can do is reduce the impact of social media on you by both partners deciding to behave in a way that is constructive and respectful to the relationship. Both people equally. So if I don't want you liking lots of girls' pics, I'm also not going to post pictures that lots of men like. If I don't want you following lots of girls, I'm not going to post pictures that attract a lot of male followers, and vice versa. You both agree that we can't control what falls into our lap. We might walk down the street and meet somebody and something might happen, but at least the things we can control, like our feed, our For You page, what we look at on social media, let's try and make sure that what we can control, we try and avoid alternatives as much as possible. And we try and make decisions on social media that is as respectful to the relationship as possible.
And so that kind of gives rise to the online argument that if you're uncomfortable with your woman posting promiscuous photos, or let's say photos in a bikini, then you're insecure.
Well, I know it's really hard. That's a really hard one for men because they will always label it as you're being insecure and so on and so forth. But you just got to ask yourself, what is the underlying need when you are posting that picture? As a girl, you have to ask your female, you have to ask your woman, I will let you do whatever you want. No worries. I don't have to be with you if I don't like it for long enough. But as your husband or as your partner, I'm curious what motivates you to want to take that picture of you basically in a bikini or basically half naked and post it on the internet. I just want to know your motivation. And if she says, I've worked really hard and I just want everyone to see what I've worked hard for, ask her why. Why is that important to you? What need of yours is missing? Where is the need for social validation coming from? Is there something that you're missing? Is it something from before, like something from before me? Where is this coming from? And if she doesn't have the ability to reflect on that need and you don't get the answers that you think are valid, you don't have to pressure her to stop, but you have to ask yourself, is this a deal breaker for you or not? Can you handle this for the rest of your life? If the answer is yeah, well, to be honest, it's no problem. In my culture, everybody wears bikinis. Like if you're from somewhere like Brazil or South America, you know, people wear bikinis all day, every day. It's not really that shocking. And so you might be totally fine with it. But if you're like, you know what, there's a part of me that doesn't feel comfortable knowing the type of man that might be following you. It can range from a normal, regular guy to a very creepy guy that I don't feel comfortable around. So I just don't know if I can handle it. And then you take the onus on yourself or whether or not you want to go forward with the relationship. But be curious. Ask her why.
Yeah, and I would even say, if you want to go forward with the relationship, I would wonder, what is that really telling me if she's seeking that kind of validation or attention? And the same goes for men. What kind of validation are you seeking if you're posting these kinds of photos if you are in a committed relationship?
Yeah, both of them. I mean, and I can understand to some extent if that's where their money comes from and stuff. If they get their money from posting lingerie about bikini pictures, I can understand. They can say, it's my money. No worries. You can either accept that or not accept that. But if there's not even the money aspect and it's just the social validation aspect, I always just think it's probably not a good idea to be in a long-term relationship with a woman who can make money from her body, because they learn how to manipulate men. Essentially, when you learn to make money from your body, you're learning the art of manipulation, because you're taking a man's weakness and turning that in and exploiting that into money. So I would argue, is that the type of person you want to be with? And so you might want to, but it's still, some men think, well, as long as you're getting your bag and you're working hard, no worries. But if there's none of that and there's no actual motivation, there's probably an insecurity in her that is deeper than one that you can fix. So you have to leave it to her to figure out how she wants to fix it.
And so with the whole sex work thing on the rise today, my question, and that's something we've never talked about, is why is it so prevalent and normalized today? Whereas, let's say our grandparents would be like, are you crazy? That's horrible. So what is this normalization? Where's this coming from?
I would attribute it to a male addiction to pornography. What happened with the advent of pornography is the natural instinct of a man is to feel an element of disgust when they see the woman they desire with another man. That's our natural instinct. As a man, when you see the woman you love or you care about or you desire even with another man, it makes you feel a bit sick. What pornography has done is taken the woman you desire the most, have you literally watch her with another man, and instead of being repelled, the sensations, your brain has been hijacked, and the desires and all of the dopamine and all the reaction you're getting has been hijacked. So your normal repulsion has been replaced with intense desire. So what would have normally caused you to feel repulsed by a woman is now making you want her more. Wanting her more, seeing her naked with another man all day, every day is what you're watching. Your brain has been hijacked. Your natural masculinity has been hijacked. And as a result, what's happening is when you go into the real world and you meet a really promiscuous woman, instead of being repulsed, you're now sexually compatible with her, because she reminds you what you've been watching. So now, more than ever before, men are open to sex workers. They're open to marrying them. They're open to investing in them. They're most open to loving them. And here's what the really sad reality of sex work is. The women that engage in sex work are, in the long run, winning compared to the women that don't. And sadly, that's what society's done. What's happened is that good, wholesome woman nowadays that's actually dedicated to the children, she might find herself divorced, single mom, struggling to pay rent because divorce is so high and men are so addicted to pornography, they're going elsewhere. So she's going to find herself struggling. Whereas you take a sex worker and she uses man after man after man, and then her long-term plan, yes, she's going to be alone, but both women can end up alone. But the sex worker is now going to be living in an expensive home, sending the kids to an expensive school and living in an expensive area, and now her generation has changed for the better. So we've almost made it so that the sex workers win in the long run, and that's only a man's fault. because they're the ones investing. So it's not the women's fault, because like you can see the reward is so high for being a sex worker, and it's so low for being a loyal woman. You be a loyal woman in this day and age, a man might still be watching pornography, a man might still be liking pictures, a man might still be going to escorts. Whereas if you be an escort, yes, you might end up alone in the long run, but most women might end up alone in the long run. But you will be able to clear out your generation. And that's the sad and scary what future we're creating, unfortunately.
Wow. We've never actually dove deep into that. That's...
You know what? The reason I said that to a client of mine who left, his wife in a wholesome environment to go be with an escort. And I told him this is the long-term plan. This is the long-term what's happening to women, where they're going to be rewarded. And we delved deep and stuff, and we realized that actually is what happens. You end up having escorts who now live in really nice areas, their kids go to really great schools. They're now and it's just, they clear out the generations ahead. Whereas good women, they suffer more in the next generation. So it's difficult for them. And this is not me in any way encouraging, that kind of behavior. But what I'm trying to do is wake men up. Look at where you're investing. Look at where you're having children. Look at who you're rewarding. If you're rewarding the wrong women, why do you then complain that women have gotten bad?
So then, where does the sex worker end up at the end of the day? At the end of their life, if it's all good.
Yeah. The thing is, here's the thing that what men don't understand. They think, oh, but she's going to end up alone and she's going to be miserable and she's going to be sad. You've got to understand something about sex workers. Usually, they don't measure life success based on having a committed marriage. They measure life success of having no financial stress. So when you say, oh, she's losing in life in the long run, blah, blah, she's like, okay, I'll lose in my mansion. No worries. I'll cry in my Lamborghini. No worries. I'll sob as I drop the kids to private school. No worries. They measure life success so differently. So when you're trying to put them down and say, oh, well, you're going to end up alone, they don't care about ending up alone. They just don't want to end up with financial debt. Now, but unfortunately, ending up alone is something we all risk. Man, woman, children, not good woman, bad woman, we all have that risk. It's not as simple as only sex workers end up alone. They might end up with somebody, but even if they end up alone, they'll still be ending up successfully alone. So, so it's just like that insult no longer lands. It's like, okay, cool, I'll end up alone in my yacht
or whatever
with my millions. Yeah, and I'm not saying that's the answer, but some people measure life success so differently. So differently. So yes, she might end up alone, but so might the good woman end up alone. But the good woman will end up alone and having to struggle to support the kids. So where are we leaving women?
Could you argue that if these two women were talking to each other, then the good woman per se, quote unquote, would say that, I am alone with my dignity. I'm alone with my self-respect. Whereas the other one, the sex worker, would be like, who cares? That's just a point of view.
This is how the conversation usually goes. Like I think what happens with good women, they can't understand for the life of them how you would let a man you're not attracted to, you're not interested in, touch you. Whereas a sex worker, her mindset is, how on earth would you allow a man that doesn't spend money on you to touch you? So they have different versions of investment. One will think that I can't let somebody not attractive or I'm not attracted to touch me. The other one will think I can't let somebody who's not spending money on me, who's broke, who's not going to call me the next day anyway, I'm not letting him touch me. Are you mad? So they just measure dignity differently. And this is, again, not me advocating for either or, but I'm just letting you know what the mindset is. The one person's mindset is, I want a man that loves me. The other man's mindset is, I want a man, love is what? In this day and age, no one's going to get love. I might as well get security. So, and this is why, because love is now, and marriage and long-term relationships are now becoming a thing of the past. So the sex worker is she's almost like light years ahead, because she's like, well, you're going to end up alone, I'm going to end up alone, but I'm going to end up with more in the bank and not have to worry how my kids get on. So sadly, we've tipped it because marriages are not working, we've tipped it in favor of the people who are utilizing their body.
So then when
Is that a really sad reality? Is that a really sad reality?
It is extremely sad.
I'm so negative today. I'm so sorry, but it's just what I've noticed. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that too. And I think it's also goes tandem with the men in today's culture too. And you know, I want to take it to the whole red pill thing that's on the rise today, and how men are talking about, I want a woman with a low body count. So those are the men that would claim to never go for the escort or the woman with the high body count. But in reality,
they're liars.
do. Yeah.
They're liars. They're compulsive liars, because here's the thing with the red pill community. I want a low body count, a low body count. But at the same time, simultaneously, they'll have a high body count or want that, or they'll watch a lot of pornography, one or the other. Now, the moment you have a high body count, you are no longer sexually compatible with somebody with low body count. The red pill community sets men up so badly for long-term relationships. It tells men you have to have a high body count. Cool. They go out and have a high body count, but you have to be with a virgin. Okay. But when they go out into the real world, after they've had a high body count, they are not sexually compatible with a virgin. They are so easily bored by a virgin. They don't know how to work a virgin. They don't have the patience to teach a virgin how to behave in a way that they are pleased with. So they always end up, maybe they'll marry a good woman. They'll go straight to the escorts when they want their pleasure, because they cannot be emotionally and sexually compatible with a virgin, because a true virgin who's good, who's genuinely good, wouldn't select a man that's been sleeping around. So he probably has to fake it to get that good woman. And then while he's being fake, he needs a very promiscuous woman to serve his genuine needs. So he ends up either being married to a good woman and then using escorts on the side. So escorts are still getting the better end of the deal because they see the real you, whereas your wife sees the fake you. Or they end up, I can't be with a virgin. I'm no longer compatible. So they end up with just promiscuous women. So a high body count makes it impossible for you to be a good husband.
I see. High body count for the man or for the woman?
Yeah, for the man. Because like I said, you're only compatible with promiscuous. Once you slipped around with a lot and you've done a lot, what happens is you're only promiscuous with other promiscuous women. If you're a man who wants one night stands or lots of women, the only women that are okay with that are very, very promiscuous. What are promiscuous women like? You can do what you want on the first night. You can explore, you can be as adventurous as possible without any commitment. Now, compare that to a virgin or a traditional woman. You're not getting to do that with her. So you have to suppress who you truly are to impress that virgin or that good woman, and then express who you truly are with the escorts. And where do they feel most comfortable? Where they can be themselves. So they're more likely to end up with those kind of women.
But are those real relationships, or are they more of a transaction?
They're an ego-based relationship. They're where two people are meeting each other's external desires and not actually looking to commit or invest in each other genuinely. We're only investing in each other for as long as you please my desires and pleasure me. But actually compatibility, they tend not to have that as much. Not so much compatibility, because they're actually quite compatible because their values are quite skewed. But actual loyalty, their actual loyalty is skewed. Yeah, their loyalty is ruined, yeah.
I see. So it kind of everything just goes. So then, how do we get things back on track? How do we get things back to?
It's so hard, but the number one thing is to reduce pornography. I promise every man that I've met that struggles with women. And, I'll have clients that say to me, I've been dating girls for about 6-7 years. I've been single for 6 years. I just can't meet the one. I just say, are you watching porn? And they'll say, why? Why is? I'm like, that's why. Because you're watching porn, and as a result, you don't learn the patience that it takes to create an actual sexual intimacy. You don't learn the skills for it, and you don't see the point of being with a woman when you can just satisfy yourself in your room. So every problem men face, whether they can't find a relationship, whether they can't connect, whether they end up being manipulated by a woman, whether they end up struggling talking to women and they get a real intense fear of rejection, every problem, I can almost trace it to pornography. So if you can limit your pornography, what it actually does to you is it clears your lens. You can genuinely go into the real world, talk to women as if they're just human beings. You're not thinking of them of this wild sexual experience, just human beings. You talk to them like normal. You don't have this intense fear of them because you don't see them as highly promiscuous. You just see them as normal people. And more so than anything, you don't idolize sex. The moment a man is okay with or without sex. He can take it or leave it, but you can't manipulate him through sex. He's a powerful man. Women respect that. But when a woman knows she can manipulate him through sex, she can no longer respect him. And he can't make good judgments. His penis will decide who he falls in love with. So if you can remove pornography from a man's world as soon as possible and as early as possible, the better it is for you.
But if then his penis is kind of controlling him, then wouldn't you say the escort could easily control any man?
She
and sort
does.
of make them completely blindsided?
She does. There's very few escorts that will come out of an experience without having, broken up a marriage or without having a man almost bankrupt. Most escorts you speak to, particularly high-end ones, will tell you, this guy left his wife and I don't even like him. Or this guy had to sell his watch to pay for my flights. I don't even like him. There's very few escorts that have not come across men that they cannot totally manipulate in every way, shape or form. Yeah, so they know this.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. Whereas when you take a wholesome woman who might not be that promiscuous, she won't have a string of men that have bought her Chanel bags and have taken her on holidays. She won't have that because her route to attachment isn't through his penis. So the men can stay sane in their judgment because the penis hasn't interfered with their judgment calls. So because her route is maybe through care and connection and love, he can make more sane decisions. But if the route through attachment is through the penis, it's insane stupidity that creates connection, unfortunately.
So what would you say is the best way for young men, especially today, to get a hold on that?
Don't allow your penis to make any decisions. And how you do that is you train it to control itself. You've got to remember that's the part of your body that creates life. Yeah, that's
like
the
How to
part of
Train
your
Your
body.
Dragon.
Yeah, it's really hard. I would have no idea, but I am always curious why men say that their penis is a separate body. It's like that. But what I would say is, if you can control your private parts create children. It's the most important organ you have. Now, if you frivolously give it to everybody and anybody, and any woman can access that, you're essentially you're ruining the value of it. But when you realize that this is actually relatively sacred, and I don't want my private parts to get used to a really sensationalized version of sex, and I don't want them to because it's not sustainable for it. So I actually want to control it as much as possible, because once you master that, everything else becomes easy. And what I mean by mastering it is not being somebody who can't access women and as a result doesn't sleep with a lot, or is somebody who, even when pornography is available, even when Instagram girls are available, even when a girl is, he knows who to direct his energy to and who not to. It's really developing that self-control.
And so how do you think you could instill those values in a man to not be controlled by his dick and to really move forwards with perhaps more morals and to not go after those kinds of women?
The main thing is to like the person you are. When you like the person you are, you see yourself as a gift to other people. And therefore, you're like, you don't get to access me whenever you want. You don't get to talk to me like that. You don't get to disrespect me and I'm still good to you. You have to like the person you are. And how you like the person you are is you fulfill your potential and you make really good, healthy decisions. How you dislike the person you are is when you are not fulfilling your potential. You're making really bad decisions in general in life, very chaotic decisions. And in private, you're somebody you don't respect. Publicly, you might be great, but privately, when you go home and you're by yourself, you do things that you don't respect. You might be paying for OnlyFans subs, or you might be watching pornography, or you might be gambling all night. Or you might be drinking too much. You're doing things that makes you not like yourself. So I think the main thing is you have to really stop and ask yourself, do I like myself? Now, if you don't, get into shape, make good decisions, try and get better with your money. Do things, I'm not saying be rich, but just don't be frivolous. Don't get yourself in debt every month or whatever it is. It makes us hate ourselves. When we cause ourselves problems, we hate ourselves. Just think if somebody stole your wallet, you'd hate them. Now, if you yourself are causing yourself debt by spending too much, you're going to hate you. So when you're snatching self-respect from yourself, you're going to not like yourself. So I think the best way to become really controlled and really value where you place your energy is to like the person you are.